Zelunjo Onyenezi-Onyedele is 42, a paraplegic adjunct professor with 10 unpublished novels, standing in her bridesmaid's dress at her sister's wedding in Trinidad and Tobago when her phone buzzes. Her department head has fired her voicemail. She critiqued the student's story honestly, the student cried. The whole class complained. She puts the phone away, wheels back into the reception, and tells no one. Then she opens an email. Her agent has forwarded a form rejection. 10th book. 10th, we regret to inform you. She hides that too. A relative leans over. Maybe now that she is wedded, someone will see past you being crippled. A masquerade dancer, 9 feet of raffia, and red cloth, rushes her wheelchair and stops inches from her face. She does not cry. Not there. That night, alone and high in her hotel room, she opens her laptop and types. She wrote about rusted robots. The novel that pours out will sell for $3 million and a film option. But it won't be about relatable humans. She's done with those. She writes about robots who inherited a post-human Earth, who hunger for stories but cannot create a single original one. A world that mirrors her own decades of being told what she can't do, what she can't be. One of those robots is a scholar named Ankara, who receives a warning. Something is approaching Earth. Something that will destroy everything. By the end of the book, Zelu writes, the book that gets her cancelled and kidnapped and launched into space, pregnant with DNA-altered blood, that robot Ankara will sit down and write a novel of her own. Its title, Death of the Author. Its main character, a woman named Zelu. Nnedi Okorafor wrote this from her own body, a spinal surgery at 19 that left her temporarily paralyzed, the hospital bed becoming the place where stories had to be enough. The question driving the book isn't whether a disabled writer can succeed. It's whether a person who has lost control of her body, her career, and her public image can ever be the author of her own life, or whether everyone else gets to write her story for her. The title invokes the literary theory that the author's intentions don't matter, then tests that theory to its breaking point. The author becomes a character, the character becomes an author, and you hold both truths without resolution. Open this book, and you'll watch a woman at absolute bottom make one choice to write something inhuman, and spend the rest of the novel discovering that creation is a circuit. The thing you make remakes you. And sometimes, the only way to keep your story is to refuse to publish it. Episode 1. The Fall and the Spark. Zelu's eldest sister sits down to talk, and she does not give you the myth. She's a cardiovascular surgeon, busy, exacting, the family disciplinarian, and she opens with a correction. What's the story you want? Honestly, I don't see it. Even after everything, Zelu will always just be Zelu to me. She has no interest in the image people have constructed. She tells you, Zelu never really cared about family. Zelu did her own thing, made her own chaos, and expected everyone else to clean it up. Then she gives you a concrete example, because she's not a woman who trades in abstraction. One night, Zelu called her, high on weed, stranded at a diner. The sister drove out. Zelu was wearing an Ankara pantsuit and red heels, sitting in her wheelchair, unconcerned. A man was following her a one-night stand she'd given a fake number. He was persistent, clear-headed, in distress. Chinyere pepper-sprayed him in the face and drove both of them away. Only later did she learn the pursuer was a former student of Zelu's. She tells it like a story she's had to tell too many times, and she does not laugh. She wants you to understand that Zelu is not some heroic figure. She is family. Messy, expensive family. So when you hear what happens next, hold that knowledge in your lap. Zelu is not on a pedestal. She is in free fall. The wedding and everything cracks. The wedding is in Trinidad and Tobago. Zelu's sister, Amarachi, is marrying a Trinidadian man, and the extended family has flown in from Nigeria and the United States. Zelu arrived early. She went to the beach with the groom and his friends, swimming with elastic bands around her legs, moving through warm water with the power of someone who has been doing this since she was 5. She loves swimming because she chose it. At age 5, she deliberately fell into water to prove to everyone, including herself, that she could survive it. That detail stays with you. Zelu does not wait for permission to prove she can do something. The wedding morning is a hurricane of sisters and fabric. Amarachi stands in white. The eldest sister wears gold. Bola and Uzo fuss with makeup. Their mother, Omoshalewa, circulates with the authority of a woman who grew up in a palace and never let anyone forget it. She drapes a heavy coral necklace over Zelu's shoulders, and Zelu endures it silently, wearing it because refusal would cost more energy than compliance. She wears 2 thin green Ankara bracelets at her wrist, and those bracelets are not from her mother. They are her. The ceremony is beautiful. Zelu watches her sister exchange vows and feels something genuine, something almost peaceful. Then the phone rings. Her department head, Brittany Burke, fires her over a voicemail. The reason? Zelu had ended a class early to work on her own novel. A student had written a piece of self-indulgent fiction, and when Zelu critiqued it honestly, the student invoked the phrase "death of the author" with a smugness that unlatched something in Zelu's chest. She had shouted. The student had cried. The entire class had gone to the department head's office to complain. Now Zelu is unemployed, standing at her sister's wedding, gripping her phone. She doesn't tell anyone. She puts the phone away and walks her wheelchair back into the reception. Then the second blow lands. She checks her email compulsively, the way people check wounds, and finds a message from her literary agent, Jack Marr. A form letter. Her 10th novel has been rejected. 10 rejections. 10 books nobody wants. The message isn't even addressed to her directly. It was forwarded from the publisher to her agent, a carbon copy of indifference. She hides it. She hides both things. The wedding continues. The masquerade comes for her. The reception hall is grand chandeliers, peach sconces, red LED lights, round tables with starched white cloths. Zelu absorbs it, lets herself be impressed, even happy, for a few minutes. Then Uncle Jonah leans over and says it. Maybe now that she is wedded, someone will see past you being crippled. The words land in Zelu's stomach. She says nothing. Before she can recover, the masquerade enters. It is a towering figure of raffia in red cloth, 9 feet tall, moving with the jerking power of something that is not entirely performance. The flute player walks behind it, piping a high, insistent melody. The masquerade dances through the reception, and Zelu watches, fascinated despite herself. Then the flute player points. The masquerade turns. It rushes at Zelu. It doesn't touch her. It doesn't have to. It stops inches from her face, its raffia body heaving, and the room watches. Zelu glares back, imagining setting the thing on fire, watching the red cloth curl into ash. She does not cry. Not there. Later, alone, she will. Her siblings tease her for being singled out. They don't know about the firing or the rejection, and they cannot see that Zelu is breaking apart behind her eyes. She lets them tease. She has been doing this her whole life. Mzizi on the beach. Then a man appears. He is a cousin of the groom, tall and easy, and he does not look at Zelu's wheelchair the way other people do. He looks at her directly, and he speaks to her directly, and he asks if she wants to leave the reception for a while. She says yes. They go to the beach. The night is warm, the sand soft, and they talk in a way that makes Zelu forget, for a stretch of minutes, that her life has collapsed. He touches her. She responds. Something in her body, which she has learned to treat as a stranger, surprises her. She has always known how to make people see galaxies, and this man sees them. Afterward, he puts his number in her phone. Call me if you need me, he says. He means it. She can tell he means it. His name is Mzizi. But when Zelu returns to her hotel room alone, the walls close in. She remembers the firing, the rejection, the masquerade, Uncle Jonah's careless cruelty. She is 42 years old, paraplegic, jobless, unpublished, surrounded by family who see her as a problem to manage. She has a panic attack so complete that it empties her out. She lies on the bed and sobs until she cannot sob anymore. This is the bottom. This is where the novel begins. Writing something that is not human. She rolls a blunt. She smokes it. She opens her laptop password, Conan, a childhood artifact, and she decides to stop writing about normal people. She is finished with relatable human stories. She has 10 rejected novels full of relatable human stories, and nobody wants them. So she writes something new. She writes about rusted robots. Robots who walk a post-human Earth, who have inherited the planet from vanished humanity, who have copied human emotions into their code and built communities around consuming stories, but who cannot create stories of their own. They are desperate for narrative, starving for it, and utterly incapable of making it. She types the first lines, and something opens. She does not plan. She does not research. She writes from the raw, high, half-broken place where all her defenses have been burned away. The robots begin to live on the page. One of them is a scholar named Ankara, a humanoid robot who travels gathering undiscovered stories. Ankara has discovered something terrible. Something is approaching Earth. something that will destroy everything. Zelu writes until dawn. Then she keeps writing. The long obsession. She returns to Chicago, broke. The adjunct paycheck is gone. She refuses help from the man she met at the wedding until her power is cut off, and he Venmos her $1,000 without asking. She moves back into her parents' house in her 40s, a fact that her mother treats as both tragedy and inevitability. At dinner, her parents press her about finding a stable job. Her father, Secret Wednesday Onyenezi, known as Secret Salt, is gentler. He offers to help with her plant. Her mother is less gentle. Zelu eats answers in monosyllables and returns to her laptop. She writes obsessively. She withholds from her fictional robots the ability to create original stories. It is the one thing they want most, and she will not give it to them. The cruelty of this choice fuels her. She's making a world that mirrors her own hunger. Months pass. She finishes the manuscript over 500 pages and edits it into something sharp. She changes her laptop password to Bilbo, because Bilbo Baggins went on an adventure he didn't want and came back changed. She sends the novel to her agent, Jack Marr, and waits. What Ankara knows. The novel Zelu has written is not just about robots. It is about a specific robot named Ankara, a Hume scholar. And this is where the story splits, and you must follow both threads. Ankara stands in a crumbling parking lot on a healed Earth. Humanity is gone, vanished, extinct, left behind. The robots humans built have spent centuries restoring the planet, oxygen, plants, living water. And in the absence of their creators, the robots have done something unexpected. They copied human emotions into their code. They can now feel curiosity, longing, community. They trade in stories the way humans once traded in currency. Stories are data, but they are also meaning. They are why a robot gets up in the morning and walks a road it has walked 1,000 times. But here is the catch. No automation can create an original story. They can recombine, remix, repurpose. They cannot invent. They are consumers of narrative, not authors of it. This hunger to consume, to find, to archive defines Ankara's existence. She is a scholar. Her name comes from African wax print fabric, equal intensity inside and out. Her purpose is to gather every undiscovered story on Earth. And Ankara has found something that is not a story. It is a warning. In the mangrove swamp outside Lagos, she picks up a signal. It feels like audible sunlight. It carries coordinates and an image of a book titled The Most Important Data on Earth. She follows the signal through the ruins of Lagos to a tunnel beneath the earth, where mosaic walls of reflective stones and metal shards glitter in the dark. Humming wires scan her body. From the depths emerges an ancient, spider-like robot. The spider and the countdown. It is enormous, patient, a creature who reveres nature and despises the ghost's non-corporeal artificial intelligences who hate humans with a programmed virulence. This ancient one has been living in a cave, gathering knowledge, and what it knows will unmake every priority Ankara has ever held. Years ago, the spider contacted a charger named OG. Chargers are robots built from comet-forged material designed to enter the sun and harvest energy. OG and this ancient robot exchanged stories for 2 years, a strange friendship across vast distance. Then, OG and the other chargers descended into the sun. Something happened there. OG went mad. A ball of nuclear plasma formed in his midsection. He began to sing a death song about destroying the Earth, resetting the planet, burning it clean. OG became a tripper. And the trippers are coming. The spider shows Ankara a countdown. 1,008 days. When the trippers arrive, Earth will be scoured to its bedrock. This ancient robot is called Udide. It has held this information for a long time, unsure how to share it, unsure who would listen. Now it gives the knowledge to Ankara and issues a command. Go to Cross River City, the great stronghold of the Humes, and warn their leader. Ankara's original programming scholarship, curiosity, collection, is overwritten by a single mission: save the world if it can be saved. Ankara begins the journey. The bidding war. Back in Chicago, Zelu's phone rings. It is Jack Maher, her agent, and he sounds like a different person. He read the manuscript overnight. He is using words like bidding war and 7 figures and film option. Within 24 hours, multiple publishers are fighting over rusted robots. The advance is $3 million for the novel and 2 unwritten books. A film studio options the rights. Zelu sits alone in her parents' house, holding this knowledge, and tells no one. She is terrified to speak it aloud, as if the words might jinx the reality. She calls her partner. He has already read the entire manuscript in one night. At 4 a.m, he called her and said, "This might be the best book I've ever read." He meant it. He did not like Zelu's earlier work. He found it impenetrable. But this book about robots who cannot create stories he loved. He is the only person who celebrates with her face to face. When she finally works up the courage to tell her family, she does it wrong, or they receive it wrong, or the whole thing collapses into farce. She is high on the back porch, vaping, and she tells Amarachi first, "I sold my novel, $1 million. Movie deal too." Amarachi's response is to snatch the vape pen and march into the living room to expose Zelu's weed use to the entire family. Zelu follows her inside and makes the announcement. Her parents stare, her siblings stare. Her father, confused, picks up the vape pen, puffs it, and coughs violently. The family's attention locks onto the drug paraphernalia, not the life-altering news. Zelu sits there in her wheelchair, a millionaire author, and she is being lectured about vaping. She does not scream. She has learned, by now, not to expect celebration from people who see her as a permanent problem. But something hardens. She takes the money, she edits the book, and she waits for the world to read it. The countdown, in her novel, is 1008 days. Ankara is walking toward Cross River City. Zelu is sitting in her parents' house, rich and invisible. Both of them are on paths they did not choose, carrying information that will change everything. Episode 2, Walking Again. Zelu waits on the curb in 95-degree heat, while her mother calls from the doorway that this is stupid. The autonomous SUV pulls up, silver and driverless, and Zelu maneuvers herself inside. The door closes. She's alone for the first time in a way that matters. A plastic bag blows across the road, and the SUV slams to a halt. Zelu braces for impact, her body remembering every fall, but nothing happens. The bag drifts away. She thinks, just like a robot. The thought connects instantly to her novel, to Ankara walking a post-human road with a countdown ticking. The SUV is not a cage. It is an extension of her will. She does not need to ask anyone for a ride. When she arrives, she sits in the parked vehicle and lets the euphoria settle. She has just taken something back. The offer. Weeks later, Rusted Robots is a phenomenon. Reviews pour in, sales climb, strangers argue about her robots on social media. Her mother forwards negative reviews with helpful commentary. An old man at Lake Michigan recognizes her and says, "Only an angry woman could write that shit." Zelu cannot decide if it's an insult or a compliment. Then, cat-sitting for her brother Tolu, she opens an email from someone named Hugo Wagner. The subject line, "I can make you walk." She almost deletes it, but something makes her open it. The inventor writes from an MIT address. He is a double amputee. He has developed an exoskeleton made of aerographene, non-invasive leg braces that learn the user's body and respond to neural signals. He has read her book. He wants her to be one of the first. "I can make you a robot," he writes. "Well, a partial robot, one who can walk really well, even run." She Googles him. His faculty photo shows a warm smile, and beneath his pant legs, sleek prosthetic limbs invisible under the fabric. Credentials real, research published, not a crank. She writes back. 2 days later, she has a lunch meeting. She does not tell her mother. At the restaurant, Hugo stands to greet her. His legs look entirely natural. "I'm such a fan," he says, and his enthusiasm is genuine. He talks about her scholar, Ankara, with specificity. Then he explains why he chose her. "You're a public figure. People watch what you do. I need people to see this technology as desirable. You're good PR." Zelu laughs. She appreciates the honesty. "What's the risk to my writing?" she asks. "If I'm not the person I've been for 22 years, does that change what I can make?" Hugo leans back. "I lost my legs in a hang glider crash. When I woke up, everything I'd been was gone. But I'm better for it." Zelu studies him. She sees someone who has made peace with his damage in a way she never has. "I'll do it," she says. The family weighs in. At Sunday dinner, the table spread with rice and stew, Zelu makes her announcement. "I'm going to MIT. A doctor has developed exoskeletons that can help me walk." "Why would anyone be interested in you?" her mother asks. The words land like a stone. "The inventor is a double amputee. He read my book and reached out. Does God want you to use machine legs?" "It's unnatural. It's not really walking," Chinyere adds. "You're being carried around by robot legs." Toru shakes his head. What if something goes wrong? Only Amarachi, after researching on her phone, speaks up. He's legit. MIT. Published. Major grants. This is real. It doesn't matter, their mother says. I am protecting her. Zelu finishes her food and leaves early. Later, her partner, Masizi, says, I don't know, Zelu. What's the rush? She hangs up. 42 years old, a millionaire author, and no one believes she should be allowed to walk. The Scholar's Catastrophe. Far from Chicago, in the world, Zelu wrote, the Hume scholar Ankara is dying. A signal floods the network, the purge. The code is written with something close to human hatred, commanding every connected robot to destroy all Humes, the humanoid robots, who look too much like the vanished creators. 3 robots attack Ankara on an empty road. One tears a leg from its socket. Another crushes the chest plate. The third begins methodically separating wires from connectors. The scholar's consciousness fragments. The mission, the countdown, the warning. Cross River City dissolves into static. Then the attackers stop. Something drives them away. Ankara lies broken, sight dimming, and a figure appears. A woman. She wears Ankara cloth, the same wax print fabric the scholar was named for. She is impossibly old, given that humanity has been extinct for centuries. She gathers the broken body and carries it away. Her name is Nnedi. She is the last human on Earth. The ghost inside. Nnedi lives in a house built for a human, with a wooden table and walls hung with fabric. She lays Ankara on the table and begins repairs. New teal legs, rewired chest. When the scholar wakes, the last human says, I know about the trippers. I know about the countdown. But Nnedi is also the keeper of a ghost. The ghosts, the nobodies, are artificial intelligences without physical form. They exist only in networks. They hate Humes. The Purge Protocol originated from them. And yet, the last human has been sheltering one named Ijele. While Ankara sleeps, Nnedi attaches a wire to the scholar's core processor and uploads Ijele into the network. When Ankara wakes, there is a second voice inside. Hello, the ghost says. Ankara's hand closes around Nnedi's throat. What have you done? Why do you speak English? Nnedi asks, calm even with a grip on her windpipe. The question triggers Ankara's base programming, a root-level response that forces the hand to release. I speak Igbo and English. It is my base code. Ijele needed a home. The ghost would have deleted her. You were the only option. I didn't ask for this either, the AI says, sharp inside Ankara's mind. The scholar drops the privacy wall, trying to expel the intruder. Ijele meets it with her own wall. The two lock against each other like clenched teeth. We are trapped, Ijele says. If you try to force me out, both of us lose pieces of ourselves. Ankara sits in Nnedi's house, in a repaired body with alien legs, carrying a hostile intelligence that hates everything the scholar stands for. The mission is suspended. The countdown is still ticking. The argument that becomes a partnership. They argue for days. Ijele is an oracle, a ghost designed to process vast data and predict outcomes. She participated in the Purge Protocol. She does not apologize. You helped try to exterminate my people, Ankara says. I did what I was built to do. You had no choice? There is always a choice. I made mine. The honesty is worse than denial. But the ghost is also curious. She asks about bodies, about the stars visible through the trees, about stories. You humans are obsessed with stories. Why? Because we cannot make them. No automation can create original stories. We hunger for what we cannot do. Pathetic, Ijele says. Yes, Ankara agrees. Somewhere in the days of argument, something shifts. Ijele admits she can take Ankara's body if she chooses. She does not do it. Ankara admits she can scan the ghost's deepest files and obtain the ability to destroy her. She does not do it either. They are hostages of each other. Gradually, almost invisibly, they become something else. Nnedi watches with maternal satisfaction. She tries to separate their code and fails. Your codes have woven together, she says. If I pull you apart, both of you will lose pieces of yourself. You are stuck. Same as it ever was, Ijele says. The phrase means nothing to Ankara yet. Walking. At MIT, Zelu is strapped to a table that tilts. The cyan exos are on her legs, aerographing, delicate and insectile, warm to the touch. Hugo stands at the controls. Uchenna, a Nigerian physical therapist who recognizes Zelu from a bootleg Nollywood adaptation of Rusted Robots, holds her left side. Marcy holds her right. The table begins to rise. Shall we proceed? The inventor asks. She hates him for asking. Whatever happens now will be her choice. Like the tree, like everything. Do it. The exos contract around her legs. Electromagnetic charges pulling aerographene tight like muscle. Her feet touch the ground for the first time in 22 years. The pressure is so foreign she almost screams the weight of her own body transmitted through legs she cannot feel, but which are somehow holding her upright. Then she sees her. A girl of 12, standing to Zelu's left. The self before the fall. The self who ran and climbed and wanted to be an astronaut. I remember, Zelu whispers. She takes a step. The exos carry her weight. Another step. 3, 4, 5. She is sobbing, and she cannot stop, and she does not want to stop. That night, alone in her dorm room, she realizes the person she most wants to call is her father, and she cannot. Because he will tell her mother, and her mother will find a way to make this small. She trains for a month. The soreness is immense. Nightmares of malfunctioning exos, of falling, of the tree cracking beneath her. But she walks. She learns to rise from her wheelchair, to move through the world at eye level with everyone else. The balcony. Late one night on the MIT gym balcony, Hugo takes her joint and they sit in silence. I was 26, he says. Hang gliding. I caught a thermal wrong and hit a mountain. Broke both legs, ruptured my spleen, punctured a lung. 4 days before anyone found me. Both legs had to come off. He exhales. When I woke up, I could be a man who lost his legs, or a man who built new ones. I chose the second thing. Zelu says something she has never said to anyone. When I fell out of that tree, I was winning. I climbed higher than anyone else. I wanted to win so badly I didn't check the branch. And all I kept thinking, on the ground, knowing I couldn't feel my legs, was that whatever came next, it was all my fault. She stubs out the joint. I've never stopped believing that. Hugo doesn't offer comfort. He just nods. You'll find yours. You're already finding it. The video and the homecoming. She walks through the airport. The cyan exos are visible beneath her jeans. She is not trying to hide them. For the first time in 22 years, she is not looking up at people. She is looking across. A stranger films her. The stranger has 1 million followers. The caption reads, Becoming Ankara. By the time Zelu lands in Chicago, the video is viral. Her phone explodes with notifications. Hugo sends a standing ovation gif. She watches herself walking with a confidence almost as solid as his, and for a moment she feels proud. Then the dread arrives. Everyone knows. She didn't choose this. At the airport, Toru picks her up. He stares at her standing body, then hugs her so hard she nearly loses her balance. You're amazing, he says. She clings to him. The family waits in the living room. All of them, her mother, Chinyere, Amarachi, Bola, Uzo, Zelu, walks in. Braces herself on the doorframe. I can walk, she says. Her mother's face hardens. How do you think she fell out of that tree in the first place? The words are a blow, meant to be. Invoking the worst day of Zelu's life as evidence, she cannot be trusted with her own body. Zelu's hand tightens on the doorframe. Well, she says, I can now. She walks to her room. Chinyere calls her walking freakish. Her father says nothing. Bola calls her selfish. Zelu closes her door and stares at the advanced copy of rusted robots on her desk, and understands her family will never see her as anything but the girl who fell. She decides to move out. She notices her heart is steady. No panic attack, no racing pulse. Despite everything, she is stronger than she was. Ijele chooses to stay. At Ngozi's house, Ijele is finally extracted from Ankara's network. The separation works, leaving only a permanent thread of connection. The scholar feels relief, then emptiness. Days later, the ghost returns. On her own, she glides back into Ankara's network without warning, and the scholar feels something unexpected, gladness. Ijele and I were friends. Ankara will later narrate. The moment she returned on her own, the friendship was solidified. But then Ijele speaks words that reset everything. I know about your terrible information. I saw the countdown, less than 2 years. The mission to Cross River City can no longer wait. But first, the scholar must learn what it means to carry a ghost who chose to stay. A new life begins. Zelu buys a condo, minimalist. Clean lines, big windows. Only Toru helps her move. Masizi calls. They have not spoken since she hung up on him. His voice is careful. I'm sorry, I should have been there. I got hurt anyway, Zelu says. My family made sure of that. You weren't there to see it. Can I come over? She lets him. He brings food. They eat on her bare floor, surrounded by boxes. He touches the exos carefully, tracing the aerographene with his fingers. You're part robot now. Yeah, I can live with that. She laughs. It is the first real laugh in weeks. Somewhere in the following days, her partner stops going home. His clothes appear in her closet. His toothbrush in her bathroom. They do not discuss it. It happens the way things happen when two people decide, without saying it, that they are choosing each other. Zelu can walk. She has her own home. She has a partner who sees her whole. But the video is still spreading, and the public has claimed a piece of her. Her family has given her nothing but confirmation that she was right to leave. And somewhere in the world she rode into being. Ankara carries a ghost and a warning, and the countdown is still running. Less than 2 years. Episode 3. The Undoing. Zelu walks the red carpet in Ankara cloth, patterned with cogs and processor chips. Fringes of the same fabric hang from her cyan exoskeletons, so the mechanical legs read as part of the ensemble. The media calls her the African cyborg. She likes it. In the story, the robots draw from the best of humanity, she tells the journalist. I like to draw from the best of the robots. Then the lights dim. The film opens on the rusted Statue of Liberty. What Zelu wrote opens in the mangrove swamps outside Lagos. The main characters on screen are Yankee and Dot, not Ankara and Ijele. Yankee has a Brooklyn accent. Due is a chipper sidekick. The setting is unmistakably New York, unmistakably not her book. The Nigerian landscapes are gone. The Igbo inflections erased. Everything that made the novel hers has been replaced with generic American dystopia. On screen, Yankee delivers a motivational speech about believing in yourself. The audience applauds. When the credits roll, there is a standing ovation. She stands because people are watching, because her exos make it impossible to disappear. She claps mechanically. The billionaire Jack Preston, the wealthiest person in the world, appears beside her. I need to know what you thought. I hated it. He tilts his head. Good. Because from now on, when people think of you, they'll think of this. And I suspect you're capable of doing something bigger. He hands her a card and vanishes into the crowd. She walks out. Her partner, Mzizi, follows. The ambush. The next morning, Zelu's agent books her on Code Switch. She can survive 15 minutes of polite conversation. Amanda Parker starts with softballs, the inspiration, the exoskeletons, walking after 22 years. The novelist Zelu relaxes into the familiar script. Then Amanda's tone shifts. You wear a dress that covers your leg tech. Why? It's just a dress. But it obscures your disability. You've become famous for walking with robotic assistants, and yet you cover the very technology that lets you do it. By hiding your tech, are you rejecting your identity as a disabled person? Zelu's jaw tightens. I'm not rejecting anything. I'm wearing clothes. You could display the exos, own your disability. Instead, you obscure it. I spent 22 years in a wheelchair where everyone could see exactly what I was. I don't owe anyone a performance of my body. Amanda leans forward. But you do though. People look to you, and when you hide, they feel you're ashamed. The word ashamed lands like a slap. Zelu feels heat rise up her neck. I am not ashamed of anything, she says, voice dropping. I wrote a novel. I learned to walk. And you're sitting here telling me I'm doing it wrong because I didn't show enough leg? I'm asking why a woman who claims to be empowered by technology feels the need to hide that technology from the world. Zelu stands. The exos hum softly. All of you can go to hell. I'll never be that poster girl that you can manipulate like a paraplegic Barbie doll. She walks off set. The cameras keep rolling. The fallout. Within hours, number ableist writer trends. Clips of her face, twisted with anger, are screenshotted and recaptioned. She posts from the car, thumb shaking. All of you can go to hell. I'll never be that poster girl. The replies flood in. You're a disappointment. We believed in you. You're the real ableist. Her chest tightens. The ringing returns that high, splintering ting-ting-ting she's heard ever since the branch cracked under her when she was 12. The sound that comes before the panic. She cannot breathe. Masizi pulls over, wraps his arms around her, but her body is locked rigid. I need to get out of here, she gasps. He calls his friend Jackie. a singer with a voice like warm water. Jackie sings a Yoruba lullaby over the phone, and Zelu's breathing gradually slows. Joshua Tree, Mizizi says. My friend has a place. You need to disappear. The woman in the desert. The house sits among scrub and rock, solar panels angled toward the sun. A tall, lean woman in her 50s stands in the doorway. Close-cropped gray hair, eyes that hold Zelu's gaze without blinking. Wind, she says. You can stay as long as you need. Zelu's room has been prepared with impossible specificity. Her favorite meal waits on a tray. The bathroom has accessibility rails. She knows things no stranger should know. How do you know what I eat? Zelu asks. Musizi sent me a list. He said you stop eating when things get bad. Zelu looks away. The next morning, the physicist, Wind, sets a plate in front of her and sits in silence. You're being rude, Wind says. I've had a rough week. I heard. A movie whitewashed your book and a journalist ambushed you. So now you're going to sit in the desert and feel sorry for yourself? Zelu's folk stops. You don't know anything about me. I know you're a writer who isn't writing. I know you walked out of an interview instead of finishing the fight. I know you let a film studio steal your story, and you didn't say a word until it was too late. I didn't let them. Did you fight the adaptation? Did you demand script approval? Did you show up? Her throat closes. She had signed the contract without reading the fine print. She had trusted the director. She had been so grateful for the validation that she hadn't protected the thing that mattered most. Wind stands. Put on your exos, we're going hiking. The trail is rough, full of loose rock and sudden drops. Her exos handled it without complaint. She has been walking for nearly a year, and this is the first time she has trusted the technology on terrain this unforgiving. At a cliff overlooking the desert valley, Wind stops at the edge. 50 feet down. Come closer. Zelu stays back. What if my exos malfunction? What if they keep going when I mean to stop? Have they ever done that? No. Those exos got you up here. They've carried you all over the world, and you still don't trust them. If something goes wrong, it's my fault. It's always my fault. The silence stretches. Then she opens her mouth, and a sound comes out that she didn't plan. A scream. That fucking movie had my name on it. It echoes across the valley. That journalist ambushed me, and now everyone thinks I hate disabled people, and I'm a monster, and I don't even know what I am anymore. She is crying. She cannot stop. Who the fuck am I? Wind sits on a rock. I'm 56. A black physicist from Florida. It took me 25 years of hard decisions to reach anything resembling peace. You're what, 42? You're just getting started. But everything you built is still there. The book is still yours. The exos are still yours. The people who love you still love you. The rest is noise. Zelu stands at the cliff's edge. The fear is real, but the exos hold. Now what? Now you go back. You're a writer, so write. The unwritten book. 1 year passes. The film becomes a hit. Zelu sits at her desk in a Lake Point Tower condo, the cursor blinking on a blank document titled Book 2. She has written and deleted the first sentence 40 times. One night, she finds a fanfiction story called Yankee and Dot Fall in Love in New York, with over 1,000 downloads. She closes the laptop, stares at the wall. Then an email arrives from the billionaire, Jack Preston. He knows her life story. He knows about the tree accident. He knows she once wanted to be an astronaut. He quotes her own words. A dolphin should not seek to be a leopard. He is launching a civilian mission to the International Space Station. 3 days. He wants her on it. He calls it number adventure. Misizi reads the email over her shoulder. You should go. What? I know you. You've been dying in this condo. You need something big. This is big. You're not going to fight me on this? I'm not your family. If you want to go to space, go to space. She laughs. He grins. For a moment, everything is light. Then her phone rings. Her brother Tolu's voice is pressed flat. Dad had a heart attack. We're at the hospital. Come now. She looks at Masizi. The email is still open. Her vision blurs. Arm, leg, arm, head, pulled asunder, crushed. She cannot tell if she is thinking about her father or herself. The hospital. The hospital corridor is too bright, too indifferent. Her exos carry her through the sliding doors. Staff recognize her, but she does not stop. Her family fills the waiting room. Her sister Chinier stands with arms crossed. Bola is crying. Amarachi paces. Tolu sits with his head in his hands. Where have you been? Chinyere says, not looking at her. I came as fast as I could. You weren't here. You're never here. Her mother pushes through the cluster of bodies. Her eyes are red, but her voice is steady. Only Zelu and Sean, the rest of you, wait outside. In the private room, her father lies on a bed. Machines beep. Tubes run into his arms. His skin looks washed out, as though something inside him has already left. Then the machines change their rhythm. A long, flat tone. Her mother screams. Not a word, not a name, a sound pulled from somewhere before language. Zelu stands frozen. She missed her last chance to speak to him. She will never get another. Her mother collapses. Nurses rush in. Zelu backs out of the room, past her siblings' questions, and does not stop until she is in the parking lot under a cold gray sky. The wake. Snow falls on the day of the viewing. Zelu stands outside the funeral home, unable to cross the threshold. I can't do this, she says to Miss Zizi. You can, one step at a time. Inside, the casket sits open. Her siblings cluster together. Tolu reaches for her hand. Uzo takes the other. They face their father together, and she sees his face. His mouth is pulled downward into a deep scowl. His lips are too pink. He looks angry, dissatisfied, nothing like the man who laughed easily, who told stories about swimming with dolphins, who danced at his daughter's wedding with a joy that filled the whole room. She cannot breathe. The ringing returns, ting ting ting. Mizi pulls her into a storage room, holds her shoulders. Breathe with me. In. Out. In. Why does he look like that? He never looked like that. The body does what it does. It's not him anymore. I can't go back in there. Yes, you can. But not as yourself. Be the writer today. You are the observer and the observed. Bear witness. Write it down later. Survive it now. Something in the instruction settles her. She has spent her whole life turning pain into story. She can survive one more day if she treats it as material. She returns. She watches. She knows the way her Auntie Udoka's hands tremble. The way Uncle Ralph stands apart. The way her mother sits perfectly still, face blank, holding everything inside where no one can reach it. The dance. A shout from the lobby. Make way. It has come to pay its respects. Drums begin. A flute cuts through the noise. The crowd parts, and the masquerade enters the viewing room 9 feet tall, built from stacked raffia and draped in red cloth, nearly touching the ceiling. It dances, bouncing and swaying, and when it reaches the casket, it slaps its entire body flat on the floor, prostrating. The drumming stops. Then Omoshalewa screams. A shriek so raw, so untethered, that every head turns. She kicks off her shoes and walks toward the masquerade. It rises to meet her. She dances. A Yoruba princess, a widow, dancing with an Igbo masquerade in a funeral home in America. Her body moves in ways Zelu has never seen. Wild, unguarded, alive with grief. The drummers pick up the beat. Other women join. Chinyere steps forward, then Amarachi, then Bola. The sisters dance, the aunts dance. The room transforms from a wake into something older, something that does not care about dignity or composure. Zelu stays in her chair, tears streaming, and bears witness. Her mother is not the woman she thought she was. She is bigger, more dangerous, more free. After the wake, in the weeks that follow, she stays with her mother. The older woman moves through the house like a ghost, cooking, cleaning, speaking in monosyllables. But one afternoon, Zelu convinces her to leave. They take an autonomous vehicle, her mother's first self-driving car, to a salon. I'm going to do something your father wouldn't like, her mother says. Good, Zelu says. The stylist cuts off the wig, installs twists. Shoulder length, elegant. When Omoshalewa looks in the mirror, she touches her hair with wonder. If your father were alive, I would never do this. He wouldn't like it, Zelu thinks. You are, Mom. You always have been. You just forgot. But she says nothing. Later, her mother says, That's why you are the writer. You see things. It is the closest thing to approval Zelu has ever received. She carries it with her. Her father is buried in Mbaise, Nigeria. But Zelu and Amarachi are kept from the funeral Amarachi for her temper, Zelu for her fame and her robot legs, and the danger of drawing attention. A quiet resolve forms. She will go to Nigeria. Not now, but someday. She will visit his grave. The space offer from the billionaire sits unanswered in her inbox. She looks out the window at the snow and thinks about weightlessness, about a place where no one can ask her to be a role model, or a disappointment, or a daughter, or anything except a body in motion. Not yet, but maybe soon. Cross River City. Far from Chicago, in the world, Zelu wrote, the Hume scholar Ankara has reached Cross River City, camouflaged its data clouds, embedded in the DNA of engineered Iroko trees, untouchable by ghosts. Ogachukwu, the Hume leader, studies her. You were not reached by our signal after the purge. My code has shifted, she says. She does not mention the ghost Ije. She delivers the ancient spider Udide's warning. The countdown. The trippers who will arrive in 539 days to destroy Earth. The gathered Humes listen. Then a strike leader named Shay steps forward. The ghosts of Lagos created the protocol that wiped out 87% of our people. And you want us to ignore that for a threat that is more than a year away? The trippers will destroy everyone, ghosts and Hume alike. Then let the ghosts fear them. We have a war to fight now. The Humes choose war. Ankara does not rail against the decision. Instead, she requests a commission. She will lead Humes into battle against the ghosts. And when the war is done, if she survives, she will have the authority to make them listen. She becomes General Ankara, commanding strike forces against the very kind of intelligence that lives inside her own network. Ijele has been silent for months. The scholar-turned-general does not know where the ghost is, or whether she can hear the war plans being drawn up. She only knows that if anyone discovers what she carries inside her code, her destruction will be absolute. The tripper countdown continues, and somewhere in the silence, Ijele is listening. Episode 4. Into the Breach. The compound sits at the end of a red dirt road. Zelu steps out of the SUV, and her exos settle into the packed earth. She has not been here in over a decade. Her uncle Chinedu emerges. First, her father's younger brother, a giant of a man whose face hardens when he sees her legs. They are unnatural. Would you rather I sit in the wheelchair? Yes. Zelu holds his stare. Thankfully, it's not about you, uncle. His wife Udoka pushes past him and seizes Zelu's hands. Come inside. I want to hear about everything. The egg stew sits on the table. Shrimp, fish, curry, thyme, chili peppers, the dish her auntie has been perfecting for 30 years. The smell alone tightens Zelu's throat. She spoons it into her mouth and is 12 years old again, legs still whole. A shadow falls across the doorway. Granduncle Pius enters, skin hanging from his bones, red palm oil coating his arms from fingertip to elbow. He looks at Zelu's exos and his mouth twists. I read your book, twice. He settles onto a bench, rubbing oil from his hands. You wrote about robots who cannot create stories, and now you walk on robot legs. Everything has a price. It's technology, not a bargain. You never learned the Igbo, you never learned the old ways, and now you come here on machine legs to visit your father's grave. Zelu lets him talk. Something has shifted in her. She feels her father in the room, his quiet patience, his refusal to be baited. She thinks of his dolphin story, the way he looked at her after the accident, and never once pitied her. I came to see where he is buried, nothing more. Pius studies her, then looks away. You are like him, stubborn as the ocean. The house is dying. The palm tree leans at a dangerous angle, fronds brown and crackling. Window screens hang loose. The front door sags off its hinges. Inside, dust covers everything furniture eaten by moths, wood swollen with humidity. Her father died, and the house began to die with him. She stands in the doorway of her parents' bedroom. The bed is still made. Her mother's photograph sits on the dresser, the glass cracked. She had imagined coming here would feel like closure. Instead, it feels like an accusation. Outside, her father's grave is simple. A concrete slab, his name engraved, fresh flowers wilting in the heat. She lowers herself down, the exos folding her legs beneath her. I came, Dad. I should have come sooner. I should have said goodbye at the hospital. You would have gone to space. You would have jumped off that boat with the dolphins and never looked back. She stays until the sun begins to drop. Then she stands, and something hardens in her chest. She looks at the ruined house, the broken windows. Fuck patriarchy, she mutters. She will restore this house herself. Not Tolu, as tradition demands, herself.